soon as I understood the power of hormones and hormone phases and how it impacts you, that was inserted into conversations. So, you know, I've got a child that isn't fearing periods. She's forever talking to me about what her body's doing, what her body isn't doing. We talk about the sort of food that supports your cycle, that supports you as a human being, full stop. So like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to know, but I do want to know. And I just take a moment to say that I am appreciative of myself, that I have a relationship with my daughter where she's able to talk about anything: sex, drugs, rock and roll, meditation, who she's fallen out with at school, what science grade she wants to get. And all of it is as normal as each other. So even things like she has noted that there are times of the month that she's more moody, that she's more tired. She's noticed how her body is doing different things that are at different times of the month. So I've said to her to keep a diary, and she knows that it means that very soon she's going to start menstruating. And the way she talks about it, she's looking forward to it, because she knows it's, you know, a rite of passage. It's something that should be happening. So it's a joyful experience, even though it is challenging, because in my mind, no, not even in my mind, in my heart, she's still 4 years old. But in reality, she's about to be 13.
And do you think you will celebrate it in the same way that your first period was celebrated?
We are going to have a full-on celebration, not in the way that I'm telling everybody. I will be telling everybody, but not in the way that like I want to take her for a meal. I want her kit, like the kit my mum gave me. I want the kit to include things that support her emotions. So a journal, a period tracking app, because she knows about all the apps. She sees them, well, not all, but she knows about the apps I use, but she can't use them yet because she doesn't have a period to actually start to track, but she's had a look at them for some of the information. So I want the celebration to be like a gateway to a really empowering, grounding experience, so that she understands not just the mechanics, but also the more kind of like spiritual element. I want it for her to feel like a ritual rather than a curse. We're not going to be talking about Aunt Flo, the painters or decorators are in, and all of that kind of stuff. But we're celebrating that most natural signifier, that as somebody that was born female and is aligned with the gender or the genitalia they were born with, you can celebrate that every month. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I got my period.
I think that's really beautiful. So if there is one thing you could leave our listeners with about their periods, their menstrual cycle, or their hormones, what would you share?
That our periods are a really useful way for us to remember that we are human beings. We are mammals at the end of the day. Just because we can walk and build houses and drive cars and use social media, it doesn't mean that we are not a part of the natural world. And this is a reminder. Nature has all the guidance we need, and our period is a way of reminding us of that. Even the absence of periods, whether that is because you've got an issue going on, or you you've reached menopause, still our periods, our hormone cycles, our hormone fluxes are a real reminder for us to connect the knowledge of our minds with the wisdom of our hearts and bodies and plug into nature.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show, Tamu. Where can listeners find out more about you?
You can find out more about me in a really solid way. You can find out more about me on my website, which is all the W's, live360.com. So that's livethrexty.com. As you can tell, I like talking, so therefore numbers wouldn't do. And my social media is at live360. Again, that is all alpha. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this work. We really, really need to be having these conversations, especially as you mentioned in the beginning that some of the women you talked to, it wasn't their journey into menstruation wasn't a celebration. And I think we need to reframe.
Absolutely. Hopefully, this is the starting point of changing the way we talk and think about periods and menstruation.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and one last thing. Sorry, I have to say that you were definitely one of the absolute keys in helping me to understand that periods are a gift, really. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you to today's guest and to you for taking the time out of your day to listen to Period Story. Music is Modern Jazz Samba by Kevin MacLeod. You can find show notes and links to things mentioned on this episode on www.periodstorypod.com. If you love this episode, then it would mean so much if you could head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, or leave a review. Thank you, and see you next week.